Welcome back to Your 1230, the only podcast where our guests tell their story with the help of 12 questions in just 30 minutes. I'm your host, Mike Salitro, and today we are very excited to be speaking with Lynne Wadsworth. Lynne is the owner and founder of Holistic Health and Wellness LLC and a curator of the Energized Healthy Women's Club. She is an AADP Certified Holistic Health practitioner who earned her certification through the Institute for Integrative Nutrition in New York. She's also a Certified Wellness Cooking Instructor. Having been a yo-yo dieter and sugar addict for many years, plus suffering from an autoimmune disorder and severe migraines, her own personal experience helps her gain insight so she can fully help her clients without judgment change their lives one step at a time. Life is not over just because you have reached a certain phase in life. In fact, it can be fun, joyful, and fulfilling. Lynne, welcome. I love that bio.
Thank you. Thanks, Mike.
So I only got through some of it because there's a lot of great stuff there. But one thing that always jumps out at me when I see the term holistic, what does that mean to you, and how did it become an appealing way of life, going from somebody as self-described as a sugar addict?
Yes, so the holistic lifestyle to me is so I think about it like a circle. So you've got in the middle, you're trying to get to good health, but there are so many portions of that: self-care, exercise, relationships, the way that you eat, your stress management, just so many little things that go into a holistic lifestyle. And so my term for my podcast is living life naturally. So to me, that's the holistic lifestyle, as natural as you can. Obviously, if you have some kind of health issues, that's not always possible. But that's the way that I like to think about life and think about health, is in the terms of it being holistic.
Thank you. I like that definition. That kind of helps with the visual there. Working with the many clients that you have in the kind of different facets of people's lives, what do you find most often gets in the way of keeping us from being as healthy, as active, or as well-rounded as we would like to be?
So actually, I just started a mini course and I really tackled this one. So it's a two-pronged thing. The main thing is our mindset. If your mindset's not right, you're not going to get there. But it's really all coming down to, you can want to, you can have a desire to, but it's the action that you take that gets you there. Unless you actually take the action to make it happen, you're not going to get anywhere.
All right, let's break those down. And you mentioned mindset first, and I found that can be the more difficult of the two because there's a
Yes.
lot that can stop you from having that be kind of in the right place. How can we get out of our own way when it comes to mindset? What are things that we can start doing immediately to either recognize, hey, I need to be more positive, or just I need to be aware of this in general?
Yeah, so awareness is a huge part of it. And to me, journaling is a huge one, because if people are like me, I came from a good British upbringing, so we don't show our emotions on our shoulders. So I had to learn to journal a lot of that, to write down how I was feeling and write down aspects of what my mindset were. And coming into play there would be like the affirmations. I would realize as I journaled, I didn't have a very good opinion of myself. So the more we can do positive reaffirming or affirmations, even about our own body, our own mind, simple things like, I can do it. It is possible. I am enough. I am a wonderful human being. So the more that you do it and the more you believe it, the more it becomes your reality, and it changes your outlook on the day. So it's not just about the positivity, but it's also how you live your life. So you might want to lose weight, but if your mindset isn't geared up right, you're not going to quite make it. So first of all, you've got to have that mindset shift and make some realistic goals in your life so that you can get from point A to point B and really be focused in that way.
I like the starting with the journaling piece and how you describe
Mm,
it being helpful for yourself and kind of gaining some awareness and positivity. I found that sometimes I get to talk to some amazing folks here on the show, and that when it comes to journaling, that it's one of the talking about action. It's one of those hard things to start because
yes.
I don't know what I should write. I don't know where I should do it, when I should do it. Should I read this again? What am I doing here? So how do you help people kind of focus on journaling? I know it sounds basic that I need to just write down my thoughts or what I'm kind of visioning, but what's an easy trick to say, don't worry about kind of the end product. This is just getting started, having that action there.
So when you get started, you really want to think about it as a tool to get to a healthier well-being. So there are lots of ways of journaling, but you can start in the morning by just keeping a running gratitude total, or total's not really the right word, but just logging in what you're grateful for. We may not think we have anything to be grateful for, but the mornings is a great time to have that gratitude practice, writing in your journal. I'm thankful I could get up today. I'm thankful that I feel good today. I'm thankful I have a family that loves me. I mean, just little things. It doesn't have to be anything big. The other thing is that if in the evening you have a hard time winding down, a great way to start a journaling practice is to just do a brain dump. And it may not make sense to you. It doesn't have to make sense to you. You can just drop all of your thoughts and your feelings there, because that way you're getting it out of your mind, the stress out of your body, and getting it out on paper. And one of the biggest challenges I ever faced with journaling was when I lost my mum. The grieving process for me was horrendous. And I was in that, and I would say 6.5 years later, I still have to watch myself. But another health coach said to me, have you tried writing letters to your mum? Private journal, just write letters. And it had such a cathartic healing aspect for me. So if somebody's going through something and they don't know how to deal with it, journaling is a great way to get started. And
I,
then the more you do it, the more you want to do it.
I think all three of those examples are really fantastic. The morning, the practice of gratitude, just being thankful for even the small things that I've got up today, that I'm healthy, that I have people supporting me, and the evening there. That's one that makes a lot of sense, but you don't hear that often. That this is just a way to eliminate the things that might keep me from falling asleep, that might wake me up in a couple hours
Yes.
and keep me from going back to sleep. Get it
Yes.
down on paper and get that out. And then as you bring up a difficult situation to kind of get also eliminate some of those, dump some of those thoughts from your mind, but to get those feelings out, where we live in a society where it's not always welcome to share what we're thinking about or what might be keeping us down. So really,
Right.
really excellent tips there. And I don't want to lose the second piece, the action piece. I came across a quote recently that action eliminates fear, that just being able to go do something can really take a lot of things that will hold us back from doing it. So, with mindset being one, how do you help people take action or take that next step?
So for me, in my role as a health coach, I help people be accountable. So I know people don't like the word accountability necessarily. Um, so for some people, I just say I'm your supporter, I'm your encourager, I'm here to help you. So for myself, if I am not accountable to somebody, I find it quite difficult to take the action. So you might be thinking in your mind, oh, I need to walk, or I need to get exercise in 5 days this week, or, oh, I need to lose 2 pounds this week. Say you've got a goal of 50 pounds, but you're breaking it down into small steps along the way. If you want to take the action and you're having a hard time, I would suggest that you either get a health coach or you find a friend that's going to help you accountable, somebody who you have to check in with, because if you're just out there trying to do it on your own, it can be very hard to take those action steps. So it's not only about setting the goals so that you've got something to focus toward, but it's just being, or even if you have a group. So my Facebook group is great for that. I hold this month, we're doing something on movement. So I'm holding my women accountable to how much movement they get in the week. It's just somewhere that you can have the accountability so that you have to take an action step, because you know at the end of the week, you've got to tell somebody how you did with it. And that's not to make you feel bad. As you said in my bio, my zone is a judgment-free zone, because I've been there, done that. So I just want to encourage people, don't put it off till tomorrow. It's easy to say, oh, I blew it already today, so what's the point? Take the action step and make the rest of your day a good day, whether it's in the way that you're eating, whether it's the way that you're conducting your healthy lifestyle, whatever it is you're trying to achieve. Just take that one step. Take it one step at a time. It's very actionable to take one step.
That's good advice, both the one step piece and the not to throw the day, the week, the whatever time period away because you might have taken a step in the wrong direction or done something. It's very easy to say, oh, well, there goes the weekend. But, kind of just being able to take one step in the right direction. Very good advice. You mentioned the accountability piece there and personal coach. I know that means a lot of different things to people. How do you, and I'm a strong believer that we should all have coaches, mentors, people who can help us get to where we want to go. How do you find, or how do you help people find the right coach or know that the relationship is right? Because I think that's the most important piece, especially when it comes down to accountability and goal setting and having that person there. What makes a good match for you?
So, in the early days of being a coach, of course, you'll kind of take anybody because you're all excited, you want to do it. So, of course, we know in the coaching field, it's all about know, like, and trust. You've got to get to know somebody. You don't just want to hire somebody without a conversation. That can happen in a couple of ways. Myself, I offer a free consultation with people, as do many coaches, so that if you don't know them, say on social media, you got a chance to get to know them, because it's easy to pick somebody that's not a good fit for you. But if you're talking to somebody on a call, you can get a pretty good feel, just like a coach can get a pretty good feel of, okay, is this a right fit for me to be able to coach somebody? It might not be in my zone of genius, so to speak. And it may not be somebody who's ready to do the work. So people might come to me and they might want help with menopause. They might want help with getting off the sugar. But one of the things I do is check with them, okay, if you want to lose weight, are you willing to put in the work to get there? Are you willing to put in the work to get off the sugar and to start changing your habits? So it's not just the person interviewing you, it's you kind of interviewing them as well to make sure you are going to be a good fit. And another way is see what a coach offers, because I've often found it helps to offer people a month of coaching so that they can work with you firsthand and know if they like your style, they like what you do, and can you really help them?
That makes sense, especially the way to kind of not only start the relationship, but to give that kind of trial experience where this is my style. I get to learn a little bit about you. That it's a very two-way street where we're working
Right.
together, but we have the idea that this is something that we're trying out. We're seeing what works for each other. I wrote down the phrase, as you said, put in the work, especially when it comes to diet, because I think that's another thing that I think most people say, yeah, I'd like to look better. I'd like to lose some weight. I'd like to feel better. What do I do, or how do I put in that work? What do you find is keeping people, especially on their own, from achieving their goals when it comes to weight
Oh,
and food?
yeah. I would say consistency. And so for me, I found it very hard doing it all on my own. I was either all in or I'd waver. And especially when it came to sugar addiction, I was either all in the sugar binging and really going at it, or else I would be totally off it. I would not be on it at all. And so I was kind of one way or the other. So it's kind of helping people to learn a balance, because I don't ever want people to come to me to lose weight and feel that they have to do without the rest of their lives. So you have to have a sense of reality there. So I like to tell people to use an 80-20 rule. 80% of the time, be motivated to eat well, to live well. Then 20% of the time, if you want to enjoy yourself, have a glass of wine or have a meal that you normally wouldn't have, do it, because that's a way of motivating yourself to do it if you know you're not depriving yourself. And most diets, let's face it, most everything out there is very extreme, and it often costs a lot of money to go on some of these diets, and they don't work because it's a quick fix. And we really need to be looking at a healthy lifestyle. So if you want to live a long life, you're not looking just at what you eat, you're looking at how you eat, when you eat, what other steps in the process are going to help you. And if you can learn it a step at a time and build a habit, then you build one habit upon another so that you can make it reality. A lot of people fail because they don't seem to be able to reach this massive goal that they've got. So you may have a massive goal, like in 6 months, I want to lose 50 pounds. Okay, well, that's a lot. You're heading toward a mountain. So let's break it down into small pieces. So what do you want to lose in the first month? What does that equate to? Then think what it is week by week, and break down your goals into small pieces. And then it's more of a reality for you and more doable.
Yeah, that's when you talk about the ability to make incremental progress, as well as have the kind of foresight to have an 80-20 perception, where it's not, this is not going to be the only thing I do, that I'm going to act in moderation. And is going to be time when I'm not as focused, or I have, for lack of a better term, a cheat, that it helps with that kind of where we started this, the kind of the holistic approach, that I need to look at all areas and make it realistic for where I am. I thought back to, as you were describing that, to the extreme diets, the kind of the yo-yo results, that you might get a quick kind of fix, or you might see results quickly, but then kind of go back to where you were. One thing that I've seen common, that, eat well means different things to different people. How can we figure out what we should be eating, or when, or how?
Right. So my basic premise is that you want to do away with all processed foods. You want to do away with as much sugar as you can. So when we talk about sugar, we're not just talking about that bar of candy. If you're looking at processed foods in the grocery store, sugars are in just about every product that you buy, unless you're shopping on the outside of the grocery store. So to me, eating a healthy diet means, well, I'm a vegetarian. So for me, and that's not because of any of my beliefs with the way that cattle or whatever is raised. I just prefer to eat a vegetarian lifestyle. So if you can eat things back like your grandma would have eaten, you're going to be a lot healthier. That to me is a healthy diet, eating plant-based foods. If you're eating meats, then get your meats from a well-sourced place. And think about what you're eating. You don't want to eat bad carbs. You want to eat the slow-acting carbs. You want to have a plate that's probably a lot less in proportion to what you normally would eat. So I always tell my clients, if you're looking to really lose a bit of weight or be where your health needs to be, go back to a lunch plate, because our plates in the States are way bigger than they need to be. So portion control is a huge thing in thinking about how to eat. The other thing about how to eat is, do you remember the days when a family would sit down at the table and eat their dinner, and they'd enjoy the company of one another? Well, now instead we're stuffing our faces while we're on our phones, we're watching the TV, we're watching some kind of YouTube video. So we're not really taking the time to digest and enjoy our food. And we're doing our body a great disservice doing it that way. And when I was in college, we were taught to chew every bite of food 30 times. Now, for somebody that's just coming into my practice, I'm not going to make them do that because that just seems like way out there. It's something that you start slowly. Be aware of what you're eating. Take the time to sit and enjoy your meal. Chew it as much as you can. And, there are different theories out there as to what time of day you eat fruits, what time of day you eat carbs, all kinds of stuff out there. But if you just stick to trying to get in a balanced meal at every meal, with the protein, healthy fat, healthy carbs, then you're going to be on the right path.
That's good advice, and I could easily follow up with at least 10 more questions from here because this always fascinates me about what's proper, how can I do a better job, and what does balance look like. But I wrote down specifically the plates and portion because that goes back to how we talked about mindset, that you fill your plate because it's there, but when you eliminate it, you realize, this was in my mind. I didn't really actually need to eat all that food, or I wasn't that hungry, or I'm just eating mindlessly when I'm doing something else. So kind of those things, those are little things we can all kind of just put into play and start seeing incremental results. You mentioned My Women when you were talking about your Facebook page. Who do you often find that you work with, or who's a good match for you, kind of when you are looking to help somebody reach their goals?
Yeah, so mostly the people I found that gravitate toward me are women 40 to mid 50s, and women who they may be struggling with menopausal weight, but people who have a health goal of wanting to increase their lifespan and who want to feel good. So it doesn't matter if you come to me with diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, or if you come to me and you're healthy. If you're wanting to have great anti-aging as you age, if you want help with the belly fat, that we, especially as women, I'm not roping you guys into that. Those are the people I like to help because they can see very positive results really quite quickly. And I believe that we can get through midlife. That's where in my bio, I say that when you get to a certain phase of life, life is just beginning. In my mind, the changes that come in midlife, your kids are leaving home, maybe you're rethinking your career. It can be very exciting. And you're only basically halfway through your life these days if you're taking care of your body.
That's an excellent point. That the better you take care, the longer that you're going to see the better results that you're looking for, the longer life you have. So it makes more sense to put more time in and do the right things at whatever age. Is there a story that you will share with someone who's thinking about starting with a coach for the first time or unsure if it's right for them, that kind of will help them see that, yes, this is right for me, or this is something I should do?
So one of the biggest objections people have is the cost. And I like to offer people different options to meet their budgetary needs. But I think our Western society, this is my belief, leaves a big gap for us. You can go to the doctor, and I have a great doctor, but he knows I'm a health coach, and he knows that I have certain limits with things I will or won't do with what he's telling me. But there's a big gap there in that they're not taught how to teach us about nutrition or diet or the steps, the pillars, as I call them, to a healthy lifestyle. So if you're struggling and you're seeing your doctor every 3 months and you're not seeing progress because you've been put on pills for diabetes or pills for high blood pressure, high cholesterol, or you need to lose weight and your doctor will say, well, go to see a nutritionist, which is not what I am. I'm a health coach. So a nutritionist will usually sit down with you and say, well, you need to eat this, this, and this. Well, a health coach will guide you along the way, give you tips and send you to where you can research certain things. There's the educational component with a coach that you're not necessarily getting with your doctor, that can help you to learn to live that healthy lifestyle and learn what you need to eat and how you need to eat to sustain a good health. I have found that myself. So when I first realized, and I had my big aha moment, that things are not going in my life like they should with my health. I was living here in Florida, daily migraines. I had high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and my migraines were really debilitating at that point. So I decided at that point I would go to the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. And at the same time, I was going to a local headache clinic that turned out to be totally holistic. So the two kind of went hand in hand for me. And they were huge aha moments for me when I learned how out of whack my body was and how wrong my diet, I got like a diet mentality at that point, and I had to get out of that diet mentality and into a healthy lifestyle mentality. So when I changed my lifestyle, my migraines got manageable again. I actually got off my blood pressure at that point, with the medication and my cholesterol medication. I'm not saying that happens for everybody, but it's certainly going to enhance the likelihood of at least lowering your medications. The way that we eat and the way that we live our life plays a huge role in what our outcome of our health is. Despite any genetic predisposition, you can help yourself out tremendously with the way that you learn to eat and look after your body.
That's a lot of good information there, and as we've talked a lot about, that this is one piece of a larger circle or a larger pie as far as how we take care of ourselves, and as we are living longer, that we have more of an incentive to be more cognizant of the things that we are doing to our bodies long term. We have we're already at time. We have covered a good amount of ground tonight. But is there something I didn't ask you that I probably should have?
I think one thing I would like to leave people with, because you mentioned the sugar part for me, is that what has helped me with sugar and with other areas of my life is to always ask myself this question, because sugar to me was a contributing factor, a trigger for my migraines. Different foods were triggers for my migraines. Different foods obviously made me gain weight again. So I would encourage our listeners to think about this as you start to eat, or think about the way you're going to eat. If I put that into my body, how am I going to feel tomorrow? So it was a no-brainer for me with migraines. Don't eat cheese because it will trigger a migraine. But the chocolate, if I eat this, it's bringing about, so my blood sugar got quite high. So that was happening in my life. So is it really worth the damage it's doing to my body just by indulging myself? And that's always just been a really good barometer for me when I'm doing anything, or like with a glass of wine. If I drink this glass of wine, I'm going to feel lethargic tomorrow. Is it really worth it for me? So I use those things as treats, but that's another mindset piece, is to ask yourself, how is this going to make me feel tomorrow?
That's good advice. That's good to kind of think about why we're doing it, what the consequences are, and is it ultimately something we want to decide to do? Lynne, where can our listeners find you or connect with you if they want to learn more?
Yeah, so the easiest place to find me is my webpage at holistic-healthandwellness.com, or then tune into my podcast at Living Life Naturally.
Excellent. So we will post that in our show notes. Lynne, thank you so much for joining us. This has been a blast.
Thank you, Mike.
Of course. And I look forward to doing it again.
Thanks.